Hey everyone, welcome to the Mainpod. Yay! Woo. We are now on episode 22. Dang, can you believe episode
Yeah,
22?
it's going by fast.
It's going really quick.
Imagine who would have thought we'd have been this consistent too.
I
I think we've
know.
only missed like 1, 2 weeks.
I'm proud of ourselves.
High five.
Today we have Julian, my
Yes,
co-host.
yes,
Yay!
yes.
And more importantly, our amazing, beautiful guest, Emily Rosales, is here with us. Yay! Give it up to our branding girl. Emily, we are excited to have you here. And I told you this yesterday, and I'm even more excited today. A little nervous. How about you?
Me too, actually.
I'm excited. Yeah, because branding's, and we had a first glitch. Branding's huge, and I'm excited to learn all about it. Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to bring a lot of value to a lot of people today.
And that's what, exactly, and that's what I was sharing with Emily yesterday. Like, I feel like branding is a lost thing in our business. Everyone talks about it, but no one follows through with it.
Well, in our business specifically, I think branding means a lot of different things to a lot of different realtors in essence,
True.
right? Like their branding, putting their just listed and just sold posts versus actual personal branding and like creating values and all those things. So we're going to learn all
Yeah.
about that stuff today.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's what she's
Do's and don'ts,
educated.
maybe
Yes,
some value.
I feel really special right now. Like, dang.
You are special, girl. I'm telling you, I don't know why I got nervous all of a sudden. Like, I've known Emily, I haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about this. I feel like I've seen you, but it's been on social media.
Yeah.
But social media is crazy because it's like you're there, but you're not there. You know.
But it feels very natural right now. Like it just like,
It does.
hey, girl.
As it
what's
should
up?
be. Hearts, missed you.
Me too.
Hearts.
Hearts, Julian. Do you know about Hearts? You have daughters?
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sienna.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sienna.
Oh.
Jaden.
Jaden.
Yeah.
Do they do the hearts to you?
No.
No?
No.
What
No.
do they do?
Girl
Peace
dad.
out?
They're very anti any kind of public affection or any kind of like weird stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, they're funny.
I feel like girls would be more soft with dads because you always hear that. You know what I mean? Like, no?
I mean, we do have our special relationship that's different than mom, but yeah, I mean, they're not like girls.
Oh, okay.
They're bad.
That.
I don't want to say bad girls. Let me rephrase that. They're tough girls.
They're tough girls. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. They know how to self defense and everything, right?
Well, Jaden, the oldest, she's very strong. She beats up all her friends. So
Dang. All right, don't mess with
She's a
Jaden.
bully.
Don't mess with Jaden. But let's talk about you, Miss Emily.
Let's talk about us, guys.
Fuck that song. Let's talk about us. That song is probably in my head. About you and me. Let's talk about. Do you know the song?
I do. I'm not gonna sing it though.
I know.
I'm out.
You're
Guys,
out of this one.
The main thing here is that we just have a good time.
Yes.
All that matters is good vibes.
And get to know you because
Yeah.
everybody wants to know you, what you do, and the
Yeah.
education and value you bring. Which, like I said, we're excited because branding is such a big thing. But let's start
Yeah.
from the beginning.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I love branding.
Yes.
It's like my heart. I don't.
Yeah. Well, let's take it back a little bit before that, and let's maybe understand who you are and
Yeah.
maybe what brought you to having your own branding company and all that good stuff. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? What did you do?
Where did I come from?
Yeah.
Space.
Well, above all, I am super blessed to have an amazing family, which has basically given me the opportunity to follow this dream and follow this path. So I do feel like that appreciation for my family is very important. But, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. Like, I've always had that heart to just be the best version of myself. Like, I just want to be me. I want to follow this path. And I just wanted to find mainly a vehicle. Like it did start in mortgages where I was like, okay, this is it. This is my vehicle to just start something on my own, like that self-employed world, because it's not that easy when you're self-employed.
It is not.
Were you in high school? Were you always like entrepreneur? Were you trying to make money in school or anything like that? Or
Not in school. I couldn't like have a 9 to 5 job. Like it was just not like it was something where I was a waitress before real estate, and it was just I needed that freedom of time for me, but I also knew that I had the ability to lead myself, and to just know that I can do this. So I always had that like leadership, like my time is the most valuable thing.
Is that what kind of transitioned you to start into mortgages, or like, hey, let me look at lenders. Like, what inspired you from waitressing, serving, or
Yeah.
the hospitality industry into the mortgage industry?
Yeah. Funny enough, well, my sister-in-law,
Yes.
Stephanie, so she was actually in real estate and mortgages, and she would tell me about, the real estate life, and I was just like, I was super intrigued. I was like, I need to know more, like, what, and I think that was a catalyst for me to be like, and then when I entered into that, that's when I made the decision to just go for it. Like, I kind of always had that like gentle rebel thing. Where I was like, sometimes I disciplined my parents. I was like, oh, they wanted me to have a government job to be very secure, and I get it, I understand it, but for me, it was just like another tug at like, I gotta give this a try. Like, I won't feel good with myself if I don't.
Which is awesome, because a lot of people don't take that chance and that risk.
Yeah.
Like I always say, the saying I always hear is, scared money don't make money.
Yeah.
But you, more importantly, like finding yourself in that. You said, you've always felt like that 9 to 5 wasn't you.
Yeah.
But I felt like a lot of entrepreneurs, including like us, like 9 to 5 is not in my vocabulary. Like I don't roll that way.
I cringe at the thought of it.
Right?
I think more so like
like I'm like, oh.
I do, like, that's kind of like the fear that drives me a bit. Like, I gotta make it happen, because nobody trying to go back to that.
Yeah, I think too, like the thought of working a 9 to 5 and being like, as an entrepreneur or when you're having your own business, you work more than 9 to 5.
Oh yeah.
But
sure.
you can also plan your life, and you're not reliant on somebody else to give you permission to go on vacation or to go. Can I go to the restroom? Like, type of thing. Like, you're living your life. You're a grown person, and you're out there hustling, but you have control, and I think that's a huge aspect, because life's short, and to be I don't want to call it a slave, but working for somebody and having them be in charge of where you go and what you do and when you do it is tough.
Yeah, definitely. Not to knock that down on anyone, but I'm just saying it's not. I don't
Not
think
for
it's.
me.
It's definitely not for me, and obviously you.
Yeah.
So
and having that that energy of just being a small, gentle rebel, that I'm like, I just can't, and
yeah.
but.
So in the mortgage life, while you
Yeah.
were doing that, how did you take on that transition? Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, actually, what was a huge, did you guys ever hear, like, when Kobe Bryant was in town, in 2019, he did, like, a keynote?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So he actually, he gave a keynote speech in 2019, and I remember being, like, it was a real estate event, and I just remember being, like, super excited to go there, and with my brokerage, I kind of was like, guys, this is going on, like, come on, who wants to go see Kobe Bryant?
Yeah.
And that was when I went to that event, I was like, I am going all in, like, I'm going to learn whatever, because usually in mortgages or real estate, like, you just take the test, and then you're like, all right, like, let me figure it out.
You don't know the next step.
Yeah.
I get that all the time. Like, what do I do next?
Right.
Yeah.
So he gave you that Mamba mentality.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know much, but
I'm
I'm gonna figure it out.
I'm gonna be the best.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's like sink or swim.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
So were you working with Stephanie at the time, with your sister-in-law at the time, in mortgages, and learning that, like, that was your guidance, your mentor at the time?
Yeah, and Kenny as well.
Kenny Sigler?
Yeah.
Yes.
They were basically my mentors at that time.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure it out. Yeah. But also a part of me, I am very passionate. I do have, like, a lot of energy, so sometimes it was something I was kind of, like, insecure about. That I was, like, too much or too passionate.
Really?
Yeah.
I always feel like there's not enough people with that passion and, like, that oomph in our industry. Because I feel like a lot of people are either too dry, or they're just, like, too on the go. They don't stop to be present and really, like, exert that energy that I feel like we all need, that bubbly, like, happy. Because real estate, let's be real, it could be boring. It can be, repetitive. not that every day's the same because you're never gonna have one day that's the same.
That's true.
But it's like you want it to feel good when you're doing it. You want to be happy. Like I love our industry, the ups and downs, the good and bad. Like I love it all.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to come in with the oh man, like the low key energy either,
Yeah.
So no, you're never too much. Bring that energy.
Seriously, I'm like, I gotta tone it down. I gotta, I always felt like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I never
It was
would
hard
have
for
said
me to
that.
fit in, low key. Yeah.
I would have never thought that.
I mean, high key because it's on this podcast.
I
Yeah.
know. Low key, high key is my thing.
It's out now.
Low key, high key. I would have never thought that of you.
Yeah.
Are you an introvert by
I'm
nature?
in the middle.
In the middle. Okay.
Yeah, because I love people so much. Like that's the thing is like I care so much, and it's like a blessing, but at the same time, it's like my challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you because you guys have known each other before this, and I literally met you 3 minutes before we went live,
Yeah.
and I walked in the door. You were sitting in here, and you're like, "Hi, Julian." I'm like, "Shoot, do I know her?"
Did
And
you
so
even know she was on the podcast?
we had a very awkward moment where I was looking at her, she was looking at me, and then we could move past that very quickly and we figured it out. And then but just there was something about you. It was very magnetic.
Magnetic, yeah.
Yeah, like I felt it like
You
a
have
genuine,
a
positive, like let's do this. We're gonna have fun. Like it was all right there. So I don't think it was too much, but I definitely could feel that. Yeah.
He's all giving the side eye. He's like, "Who's this
Yeah.
knowing my name? Who's this
What?
chick?
I haven't met this girl. Like we're on a full-on podcast right now. Who is she?
Who is she?" Trying to come in like she knows me.
Mhm.
Trying to think she's all cool. It's like, ooh.
Calm down, Julian.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but to your point, yeah, I feel like you have a very positive presence. Yeah,
I
definitely.
do my best.
That's why I'm like, I have a hard time thinking you felt that way.
Yeah, it's interesting, but the
Now we
thing is,
know.
like, I've always had like an extremely positive outlook to life. Yes, I've obviously gone through my lows, but I don't know, like I'm always seeing like whatever
Optimism.
negative thing,
Yeah.
because negative is present. Like we can't deny that. We go through struggles, we go through challenges, but always just seeing the gift in it, seeing what is it teaching me. What do I need to adapt? What do I need to, what is it teaching me about me? But like embracing the challenge and like accepting that it's there, and at the same time, how do I reframe it? How do I reposition this?
Mm.
So it's
Yeah. I think that to that saying like you never fail, you just learn,
yeah.
right? And so you seeing every failure as not a failure, it's an opportunity to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds like what you're just talking about. You're embracing every challenge as an opportunity to learn. I was listening to something, speaking of like the investing things and all those things, like, or in your business in general.
Right.
The measure of your success is measured by the size of the problems that you have to solve, right? The more success you have, the bigger those problems are going to be. So like right now we might be dealing with a house that's $1 million and we have to figure out this problem, or there might be a point in our business where we have a $10 million decision to make. And imagine the stress and the thought and the panic that's going to go through that type of a situation. So you might be fearful in that moment and all those things, but it's also a blessing because I have a $10 million problem to solve.
Right.
I get
What
to
a
solve that.
blessing,
Isn't
right?
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's funny how people, like, how you, to your point, like, at times we take the negative as a negative and not embrace it as, like you said, I have these amazing problems to solve.
Right.
So, like, for me, I'm practicing, because, we're just humans,
Yeah.
to solve the hard stuff first before doing anything easy.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes, girl.
and that's a mental thing. Like, I have to keep telling and reminding myself, no, like, put that aside. You can do that quick. Tackle what you don't know first,
right.
and learn it and do it. Like, again, my word of the year is execute, and I'm following that. And again, thank you, Jocko, for giving me that word because I'm
Yeah.
sticking to it. Execute those 99 problems that are $10 million problems that you're going to figure it out
Yeah.
first before you do the easy stuff, because that's going to flow naturally.
Yeah.
Not look at it as a problem. Look at it as, this is just another task I have to do, another learning curve. I'm
Right.
going to learn, and I'm going to, overcome it, and I'm going to be successful at it. That's the only way of growth.
Yeah.
I like that. In my head, I had that song. I got 99 problems, but
I was gonna say that when you said it, I was gonna do it. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna leave
I was
that
like,
one.
that's always playing in my head. I feel like we should have like background music.
Yeah. I also like the word, like, just the wording is very, language for me is very important.
Mhm.
And for me it's like, yeah, it may be a problem, but for me it's a challenge.
There you
Like,
go.
what's the challenge? And it's, you know, when people hear about challenges, like, oh, I challenge you, or even with my nieces, I'll be like, hey, challenge. They get super excited. They're like, more of like in a playful state instead of like, oh, I have this problem. You know, I could
Right.
have more of that negative energy on it behind it.
Yeah, and I think to your point with the word challenge, it's always the reward at the end of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you're rewarded of something versus a problem. It's kind of like, it's like you said, it's a negative word.
Yeah.
A challenge. It's I've never seen that as a negative, but there's a reward to a challenge.
Yeah.
So, and that's
Like,
completing that task or whatever it is. Or like to your point, your niece is like get candy or something.
Yeah.
You know, like did you ever bribe your kids with challenges to
Any
do
challenges
something?
for your girls?
I don't know. Not
No?
off the top of my head.
No.
No. I can't think of anything.
Caught you on the spot.
Yeah. But to your point of the challenges, I was just talking to somebody the other day that's in sales and they have goals and things like that. But they
Right.
were saying that they set lofty goals, but as soon as they get close to them, they automatically move them so that they never achieve it, and they're always moving forward towards that direction, that same direction. So you never really achieve the goal.
It just set
So that-
another goal on top of that.
You're just moving the goal.
Oh, okay.
And by doing so, because when so many times that we think about our lives like, oh, if I could just get to here, or if I could just have this or get this, then when you get it, it's you get it and you're like, oh, well, now what? Like, it's empty. Like, because that's not the process. That's not the goal or the reward. The reward is being in love with the process and
Right.
going through that and being present and learning and doing all those things, rather than getting to the actual goal. So when, as soon as he gets close to it, he just moves it further away.
I
So
like
he's always going that way.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, exactly to that point, people are we're focused on the destination. Like, I just want to get there. I want to get there. Like, I'm going to feel this if I just get
Mhm.
there. But then you come to a point after, like, so much experience and being in the game for a pretty long time, you're like, okay, like, it's just literally falling in love with the journey. Like, you fall in love with your day-to-day discipline. You know, the mundane, the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
What are you doing in the morning routines, or how are we setting up the day? I think that's what I'm falling in love with at this point.
So how? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Julian.
Oh, I was just gonna say, do you have a morning routine that you like to follow?
Yeah, it's so amazing.
What does that look like?
So my alarm goes on at 4:30 exactly, and then I'm like in that sleepy state. I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
4:30.
in the beginning, it's like a little bit of complaining, and it's like, oh shoot, the day's about to start. If only I could sleep a little longer. All that dialogue's going on, and then it's like literally it's a muscle. Like, I'm just training it to be like, okay, game time. You know, I have to kind of, it's like a priming. It really is. And the moment that we're able to prime the day, the rest kind of just flows. So I allow myself 30 minutes in bed for but I put like a devotional on. I have a deep faith, so I'll just like put the devotional on, like literally like in that sleepy state, just listening to the word of God. And it just kind of like the parable that he shares, and it's very relevant to what I'm like learning or anything. And then I get out of bed at 5. And then I get ready, and then I put my clothes out on the thing, and I'm like, all right. And my yoga class starts at 5:30.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then I after the yoga class, I'll do a 2 to 3 mile hike.
Right after that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It just sounds so beautiful. I'm like, my morning is so rough. I am not that gentle with myself.
Yeah.
I need to be. But I like that routine. I think I'm trying to do the grounding in the morning.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not up at 4:30, but I'm up at
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Try to be in the gym at 5:30 because now I'm doing it in accountability, so that's been helping me a lot.
Mhm.
But instead of, I'm trying to do the grounding. Those of you who don't know what grounding is like literally barefoot outside on the ground
Yeah.
and just kind of like being a little bit present with myself, and that's kind of my meditative state
Mhm.
before I get into the gym clothes and get the grinding. But the waking up dialogue that goes in my head
Yeah.
is not as soothing as yours.
I mean-
Mine literally is like, all right, the 5-second rule, right? You guys have read the book, or like,
Right.
all right, Esther, don't be a little bitch. Let's get up and
I
go.
love
Like,
it,
let's
I love
go.
it.
Like, I'm really rough.
I mean, there's some days
But
that are worse. So
yeah, but I need more of a soothing. Do you have a dialogue that goes in your head when you're up early too? Like mine is not gentle.
Um, yeah, I think I struggle. I've always struggled with getting up early, and I've always wanted to be somebody that gets up early. My brother, he's up at 4 in the morning, like regardless, like he's just up, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so jealous. This week I've been waking up at 4:30,
nice.
and it's been good, but it's I think that discipline and having those little key things that you put into your schedule are so important. But one of the things that I've found when I'm disciplined enough to do it is before I go to bed, actually looking at my day the next day, actually telling. Have you ever read The Miracle Morning?
hmm
I mean, bits and pieces.
Yeah, and so he talks about the intentionality of when you go to bed, because when you wake up, you feel like, oh, I just a little bit more sleep,
Right.
and that's me. Like just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer,
Yeah.
and then. Well, why do we say that? Because we feel like we didn't have enough sleep.
Mm.
That's why we think we need more.
Mhm.
So when you're going to bed, intentionally saying, "Hey, I've got 6 hours of sleep.
Mm.
Like that's plenty. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna be pumped. Like that's all the sleep that my body needs." And then I've found when I'm able to discipline myself to do those things when I go to bed, I do wake up different.
Yeah.
But when
believe that.
but when I don't live with intention and like the night before, and I'm just willy nilly watching TV or falling asleep or whatever, and not being intentional about it, then the next day always is the same other process where I'm just like, oh, more sleep,
5 more minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great point.
Yeah. I'm being intentional of setting my phone far so I have to
Yes.
get up and not be able to reach for it. That's like been my thing lately.
Yeah.
That I just started again for like the umpteenth billion time. But my thing is like don't ever give up, right? Until you're there.
Yeah.
Like I was telling my girlfriend this morning, I was like, all right, girl, I'm gonna be there at 5 right now, 5:36, and don't give up on me. And she's like, no, girl, you didn't give up on me and waiting for me. Like we're just like that support team because
Yeah.
she's like this whole fitness model. Like she's just on point, and just the fact that she's even giving me that time for us to be able to work out together, I'm grateful for that alone.
Can we say who it is?
Her name's Michelle.
Michelle.
Yes, she's not in the industry.
Go, Michelle.
She's actually an attorney.
Michelle.
So she's a hot lawyer, a beautiful lawyer. So yeah, so that's my motivation as far as like as a friend to friend to get up in the morning. I have someone, we both count on each other. So
Right.
I want to be that person to her too, that support. So, but talking about the journey and authenticity and all that stuff, I know you're big on that, and you kind of shared a little bit about that when it comes to your transition. I want to hear, we would love to hear
Yeah.
how that transition from your journey began from the mortgage into what you're currently doing now.
Yeah. That's exciting.
It is. Dun, dun, dun. What does that look like?
Oh, it's been a ride. Don't get me wrong. It's been a ride, but it's been so worth it.
I always feel like when someone says like, "All right, buckle up, guys, you're gonna hear it. Let's hear this."
Shake it up. Julie's like, "What's going on here?"
It's the girl energy.
Just the girl energy. I'm used to it now.
He's
Yeah.
like,
I'm
"Calm
gonna-
down, see,
yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm passionate. So
Mhm.
I warned you guys.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. We want to hear that journey.
So you did mortgage for how long?
2019. It's so about 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
Mhm.
And so you in 2022, you transitioned to doing what you're doing now,
Correct.
right?
Like probably around March. So it's been 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 20,
Nice.
22.
And so-
around 20.
Yeah. So sorry about that, but tell us what you do
Oh
now.
no, good.
No. it's
Fill
okay.
in my gaps.
Yeah, so I did mortgages for about 3 years, and then, I mean, I went through a big life change. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I went through a pretty tough breakup,
Mm.
and that was kind of the catalyst. Sometimes usually, I mean, I'm no victim.
Okay.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm just messing.
We all go through it. I
Yeah.
mean, come on, like if we're in real talk, authenticity, like we all go through it.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I've gone through it. So
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, it took me some time to heal, like to really assimilate, like what was it? Because the breakup did happen from like one day to the next. It was kind of like
Abruptly.
Oh shoot, yeah.
Oh,
it was
shoot,
really.
okay.
It happened on like my birthday trip.
oh no.
Who is he? I'm about to go find him.
oh,
You know.
See, I don't know what this is a A podcast.
I mean, you know.
It's getting juicy, guys.
Yes. I mean,
But
we
it's,
try.
it's part of my story, and I love storytelling because story is branding. Like, that's my focusing on helping people with their story to be able to relate to their audience, to who they are serving.
Mm-hmm.
So that is part of my story, and I hope to share certain things so that people can relate. People are like, oh, I'm not alone. Like, oh, she went through that. Oh, okay, me too. You know, and that's what builds the trust. That's what builds the deeper connection. And ultimately, that's where we're after. Like, if you have a deep connection with a client or something, then you basically, like, it's referral based. Like, oh, this is my person. Like, I really trust them. And it's like word of mouth. Like, oh, have you heard of Esther? Have you heard of Julian? Like, that's what I'm after. And that's why branding is super important. And it's been the journey of leading through that breakup. Like, for me, it was like a fracture in my identity. Like, I really felt like my identity was broken because I had put so much value on that external. Like, oh, I'm a mortgage professional. Oh, I'm this. You know, like, I'm cool because I'm this person.
Right.
Well, and I was literally talking to my wife about this the other day, because some people that we know are getting divorced, and like when you're with somebody, married or not married, but you're in a relationship for a long time, and for you too, it was tied to a career and that person and all that kind of stuff. Your identity is tied into who you're with. It's just what happens. So when you
1000%.
get separated or you have a breakup like that that's had a substantial relationship behind it, then it takes time for you to find out your, I don't want to say new you, but like to really find yourself, because that part of you becomes them and they become you, and now it's broken, it's separated, and so now you have to figure out what that really is now in your life, because we're always in different chapters and different parts of our lives, and so how does that, you have to find that next version of yourself.
Yeah, and it's crazy how, like, even now, for my personal experience, what, 4, 5 years later, however long I've been single now, I still get associated as me and so I know, guys.
You're good, girl. We're good.
I am happy and at peace.
Me
Trust me,
too.
it should have happened a long time ago. But anyways, my point being is how we get associated with that title, right? And not you get associated as you with so and so, and I still have people till this day. It's crazy. Say, oh yeah, we still you and so, and I'm like, don't associate me with that person anymore because that's been long gone. Or even on my phone, I've caught myself like, people who have separated too. I have so and so, husband of, wife of, and I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta remove that. Like, it's crazy how as a society put titles on people and associate husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, jobs, whatever that is, to them specifically as that's their identity.
Right.
90% of the people on my phone
Isn't that
have
crazy?
a title to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even
Like
if it's
where
a
I know
nickname,
them,
yeah.
how I found them, where they work, whatever. It's always that.
It's crazy how the mind works, and that's how we associate anything. Is
Yeah.
we attach it to whatever we give it, to be.
Yeah.
And to your point, going back and kind of like you said, not necessarily a new you, but like almost a rebirth of you, if you will, finding yourself, or not as associated to this other person or this title.
Exactly.
That's a huge thing to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like to your relatable, it took me a long journey to a year, I want to say, before I even started dating, because I was going through a hard breakup,
to it.
or I'm like, I need to really detach and dig deep in who I am as an individual.
Yeah.
So I can totally relate to that. Please share, girl.
Yeah.
So let's pick it up. You had your separation and you were in mortgages, so then you decided that you wanted to do something different, and that thing was
Coaching.
Oh.
Yeah. So there was like a gap in between, like a few months, because mental health was my friend. Yeah, I went through a hard time, and it was just really hard for me to pick myself back up because of that identity. Like, it was just like I literally felt like I was piecing back the pieces of that identity. I was like, okay, what's next? What do I do? Our relationship was so enmeshed. So there was a lot of other relationships that were part, and it was just like family was involved, like so many things that to me it was just like a never ending, I had to keep forgiving myself for like the shame or things that and forgive and not blame him for things that I was going through, like my own pain. Like it was a lot of self forgiveness, a lot of like, I forgive myself, I forgive myself. So yeah, there was a period of time where it was tough, and yeah, my faith was my biggest thing. Just like, God, like I put my life on your hands because this is beyond me. And that's kind of where I was just following that thread. I was like, I need to figure something else out. I need to see what's another career option. And I mean, I had so much support from my family, luckily. So I started to look up certain careers or different things. What could I do next? Like, what's my experience? And then when I found the world of coaching and like what it was love at first sight. Like I was just like, I'm gonna go all in. Like I'm just a passionate person, It's like all in or nothing for me. It's because it's like that conviction, and it gives me that clarity personally. Like I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing. So it took me time to basically get all the skills and necessary and really focus on a niche, like who am I serving? What is my target audience? Who is my avatar? And then slowly but surely, as my story, like I'm a storyteller at heart, so I was writing every day. I was writing about my experiences, and it was like leading me into the branding part. It's like, brand identity. So it was like super related to the identity part. Like, okay, I am building this new identity, this new brand of Emily 2.0, but this is coming like revamped because of the painful experiences. Like, I'm not letting that define me, because ultimately we have that narrative, and as long as we realize that we have the pen in our hands to redefine who we are. And that's kind of where I went, and it's been the journey to just keep building and building. It's been a business from scratch. And it's just been coming to life because of the passion that I have. And then it's like realizing how important branding is, especially in competitive markets, knowing who you are, embodying your values, and literally basing it on authenticity. Like, yeah, sometimes it could be a little polarizing, or it could trigger some people, but I just know that I'm following who I am, and that's just the biggest freedom for me, because I would suffer from people pleasing, having to like put my everyone's needs before mine. And the first time that I just kind of like, I gotta follow this. So, sorry.
Yeah, I love that. I love that story of like revamping and going into the coaching.
Yeah.
So from the coaching, when you started doing that, how did you start? I would say like publicly now that you found that identity for yourself, go into the world. Let's just say, and how did you start putting yourself out there as your own brand?
Yeah. So I took a different approach. I was like, I'm starting from scratch, so I'm going to start it was more of, I'm building a foundation first. Like, I need this foundation to be unshakable. So I was working a lot from the inside out. Like, just kind of like, all right, like, what's next? Like, I didn't really care what other people thought about me at that point. Like, yeah, opinions and judgments are hurtful sometimes, but I'm like, I need this foundation, because I know once I have this foundation, I'm like unshakable. So it's been, I mean, in the beginning, it's like reverse engineering the thing. I'm just kind of like, all right, like I'm getting to, eventually we're going to start building the house. Yeah.
I like that.
I liked something that you said where you were like Emily 2.0,
Yeah.
and like writing down and like imagining what Emily 2.0 probably needed to be, all the values and the things that she stood for, and the things that Emily would do on a day-to-day basis to be her very best. We talked about, you went to that keynote with Kobe, and I'm sure he talked a lot about being intentional and like having that mentality of pushing, doing more than anybody else.
Right.
And I remembered have you ever heard of Charlie Rocket? He's on Instagram. He's a cool guy, but he goes around helping people and does things like that. But he was like an overweight in the music industry, helping rappers as their agents or doing whatever with that. And like he used to like help 2 Chainz. I'm sure you guys have heard of him.
Yeah.
And anyways, he decided that he wanted to go. I'm telling a story here.
I know.
Talking about story.
Storytelling.
But he talked about, because
I
he's
just
like,
love how like all these rappers and all these like producers and stuff.
I never heard of it.
Even though he's so signed us, I'm like, no.
I love it.
I never heard of Two
Julian
Chains until
2.0.
that guy said it. But anyways,
Really?
yeah, I never heard of him. But the point is like he he decided he didn't want to be fat and he wanted to help people and do all these things. So he lost like 100 pounds, 100 something pounds, and changed careers, much like yourself. Just went and did something totally different. Um, he told himself that he was an athlete. He was going to be in a Nike commercial, and he basically talked about rewriting. He created Charlie Rocket, and that was his superhero. That was him. And like he wrote out everything that that person would be and do, and lo and behold, he was in a Nike commercial
That is
with
awesome.
Colin
Hey,
Kaepernick
that's
and a
cool.
bunch of
I
other
like
stuff.
that.
Woo!
Yeah. So and there's a lot more stuff that he had written down. It was pretty incredible. So I followed his journey through all of that, like as I found him pretty early, and he was going through it, and it was just crazy to see how intentional he was about who he
Right.
wanted to be, wrote it all out, who I needed to be, and then went and executed, and then got the results that he said he was going to get. Like
Yeah,
it was
that's
incredible.
cool.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
And to your point of the branding and being authentic, like the intention behind it, right?
hmm
He's being
Yeah.
intentional. Is a motive, his motive.
And he
He's
was
Johnny
transparent
Rocket.
about it
Yeah,
too,
he's
right? Like he
transparent.
was
Yeah.
telling his story. He was open about documenting that journey and all of those things. And I think like you mentioned like not wanting to. Sometimes you say things that are controversial or they're not the same opinions as
Right.
as the majority and all these different things. And a lot of people will try to please the masses, right?
Yeah.
So you pick the niche in your business. I'm going to coach branding, like
Yeah.
that's the niche. But regardless of it, like you attract your tribe and you
Right.
find people that have like values, and that's where we build relationships and that's where we thrive. And I think a lot of people, including myself, in the past have just you hold you. If we're talking social media, you hold a lot back
Yeah.
of what's really happening in your life, and even in conversations with people off camera. Often, not everybody's authentic and wants to share who their feelings and their thoughts and
Yeah.
everything that they're going through. They just hold it, and I think it keeps everybody separate and doesn't allow true relationships and things to be built. So I think a lot of people need to
I
do that.
love that. Ooh.
We all learn in sharing. I
You're
always say
speaking
that.
my language.
I know. So how do you brand people? Like I want to, or like help them brand, not brand people. That's
So
like a cow.
Yeah.
I'm curious, when you guys, speaking of Nike, what do you guys think about when you think of Nike?
Just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just do it.
Yeah.
It's what they've instilled in my head. That check mark.
But is
and
there
that
like a
thing.
feeling to it? Like, is there?
It's the energy. I would say it's a positive pump.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny that you mentioned Nike. Yeah, I mean, I think global brand. I think, um, household name. I think the swoosh. I think of, um, just do it. I think of Michael Jordan.
Right.
I think of, I think that's where my stuff stops.
Yeah.
I think of runners, like that's kind of my intake, like the go, 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 like
Right.
again, just do it, get it done, execute.
Yeah, performance.
Yeah, performance, yeah, all of that, enhancements, like the motivation,
Yeah.
like I said, the quick little pump, it's a motivator.
Right.
Especially like the music behind it that, like you said, even the Michael Jordan commercials, like now that you mentioned that, I'm thinking back of the ones I remember as a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I mean, isn't that so much more than just a shoot with
Yeah.
a swish?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like that to me is like I'm fascinated by that. Like how do they like what did they do there?
Yeah.
Like me as a brand like passionate expert, like I'm just like asking those questions because I'm fascinated by how they created that vibe.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that and funny that I brought up Charlie Rocket because I remember him talking about brand, and he talked about Nike, he talked about iPhone, he talked about or Apple, but and like the progression even Apple, but he named off so many other brands that the thing I want to be like Mike. That was the brand. That's what the catalyst of that was. You can be like me. I want to be like Mike.
Yeah.
And so you're talking to the everyday consumer. The iPhone, the iPod. It's about me. And then with that, you bring the rest of the brand with like Apple. It's like the excellence and the good product, and they're cutting edge, all this other stuff. But it brings it back to you as the individual.
Right.
And so you look at a lot of the big brands that have been able to do that. Like even Coke has portions
Right.
of that stuff back in the day. that's what the branding does to you.
Yeah.
It brings it right to you,
Right.
not them.
Yeah,
It's pretty crazy.
it is. And a lot of it is the story.
Yeah.
You know, so much is the story. Like they have really perfected that.
Mhm.
And the story and the experience that they're giving the client or the customer, their audience.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you build that? What do you do? And that's where I'm like, okay, it starts with values. It really starts with like anyone can like put together some core values or whatever. Oh yeah, these are my values. But are you embodying them?
Mhm.
Are you living them? Are you really going out there and doing that? And that's where it starts.
Yeah. Well, I think like to your point, the branding is the message, right? It's
Right.
within the message of this is like what you would tell of, like how you said to your point, Mike, just like Mike, you want to
Right.
be like Nike,
Yeah.
you want to be that brand, you want to be Nike, you want to be, like I even think like you mentioned Coke. What do you think when you open Coke and Pepsi? It's that sound that comes off like that refresher.
And that's what
That-
they did in the
That's
commercial.
Right, yeah.
So
So now I'm like my head's like going through all these like commercials and stuff. But yeah, it's the message you're giving, the
Yeah.
audience you're portraying. Like you said, your avatar. Like who is that audience you're targeting?
Yeah.
And they're following it, and they want to become that, and that's how you grow. But exactly what you to your point, it's the storytelling and that goes behind it that creates it.
Yeah.
You know. So what's the rest of the story to your journey of coaching?
I mean, yeah, it does have to do a lot with the messaging and perfecting in the community. I'm not perfect, I that's where I also preach where I'm in the pursuit to become the best version of myself
Mm-hmm.
and to serve people as best as I can. It's about creating value. That's what business is about. Like the most value that I can create is, that's what's going to attract the customer and the client. So that's where I stem from. I'm like, okay, where do I need to keep growing? What do I need to keep doing? And I am embracing the stage that I'm at. It's like every business has a stage, and for me, I could say I'm in the toddler stages of the business. So, but I know it's getting there and it's moving, but it's like shaky sometimes. I'm like, oh shoot, like this, okay, but that's the fun part.
do you ever have, so I think I how do you, so I know you're in the beginning of it,
Mm-hmm.
in essence. You've got a lot of knowledge, you've done a lot of research, you've helped people, have success. But do you ever get the imposter feeling?
Oh, it's present, yeah, but I just know the tools to navigate it.
What are the tools to navigate that imposter feeling?
Connecting to my why. So that's also very big on branding. I don't know if you guys have ever heard "Start with Why" by
Mhm.
Simon Sinek. Oh, he's one of my my inspiration. Biggest inspiration is him
Mhm.
and Steve Jobs. So those are the ones that I'm like, like these are the people that I. But "Start with Why" is huge. Like because sometimes when I get too much in my head, in my ego, like oh my gosh, like I don't know if I can do this, like am I good enough? Am I worthy? Who am I? La la la. Like all this dialogue. It's like as soon as I'm like connected to why I'm doing what I'm doing, it's like I'll get through it. I'll get through it. I'm like I gotta
Yeah.
do it,
Yeah.
and that's what gets me through.
I think a lot of people I've talked to have real struggles to figure out their why, like the true why. Because I think it's easy for people to say, well, and it kind of goes back to when I have this, I'll be happy. A lot of people can easily put monetary things as to their why. Like, I want to have a big house, I want to have a fast car, I want to have this, I want to have that.
Mm-hmm.
But, sustainability and like to fall back on as a why sometimes isn't enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I know that there's a big struggle out there to find your why.
Right.
What would you say to those people that are searching for the why? Like, what things can they do, or what things could they focus on to help bring out that why and what's really important to them?
Yeah. I mean, I go back to story. I think that we all have a story, whether we think so or not. Like we are wired for storytelling. So going back to understand your experiences, understand where you came from, what you do, what is it that led you here. So understanding those patterns and what that is kind of what's going to paint the picture for you of like what you're doing and why you're doing it. So, there is so much power in reflection.
Mm.
There's so much power in going back and seeing and piecing it. Because there's a quote by Steve Jobs that says that you could only like connect the dots by like going back or something like that, and you're just like, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense now. So if you see the value in reflecting on your life and the story, like writing about it or taking the time, because there's then that you get clarity into what it is that you stand for, because that's what branding is, like what do you stand for and taking a stance. I was actually just watching a YouTube video on calling the Taylor effect, Taylor Swift,
Mm.
how she's like a branding genius, and a lot of her branding is based on authenticity. Like it's like a lot of her songs are kind of controversial, where she's just sharing her life. And if you hear her, like whether you like her or you don't like her or indifferent about Swifties, the impact she's had, and like the like on the economy and like financially that she's had is huge, and a lot of it is based on her branding.
Mm.
And it was like, oh my goodness, and she stands for what she stands for. And she doesn't, like, she's already gotten past, like, I don't care who likes me or not. Like, I have my loyal people.
My
Like, they're
Swifties.
literally loyal.
They call themselves Swifties. That's how loyal they are.
Yeah, it's called the Taylor effect.
Mm.
So, and a lot of the lyrics in her songs are just like her life, her story. So that's and her like making people feel like they belong, and that for me has been a huge mission. Like creating a safe space, and that's what coaching is too, because people need to feel safe to share certain things, and I totally understand that. So me doing the best to work on myself so people can feel that safety, and I think that's where I'm like the belonging, and that's where the safe spaces to self-discover, to self-expression.
Yeah. When you're reflecting, or and you're connecting the dots, I think, some people might struggle with confidence and maybe their value in whatever they've done in their past, right? So when you're reflecting back on the things that you've done in your life, and the good things, the bad things, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, I think sometimes people have a hard time understanding what their strengths are, because, sometimes you, well, I'm really good at that. Is that really a strength of mine? And then what value does that strength even have for anybody? And how can I implement that in what I do moving forward as my purpose or my why? What would you say to help connect those dots, and then what to take from your past to help create your story,
Right.
create your values, and then use that to go forward?
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, it takes time to discover those strengths and those weaknesses, and to have crystal clarity, because the values are a compass. Like, it literally serves as a compass. So in the coaching spaces, there's an investment of time, but you also have to see the ROI in investing the time to discover.
Mhm.
So through the sessions, you're in, like, you're not obviously expressing all of this to the world, like
Right.
you're expressing this in a very safe space, and through that, like, communication and what we're writing out, what we're planning, and like what's on, like, exercises that we're doing or things like that. All of that, if you think about it, like in a writing class, there's rough drafts to it. You kind of are piecing things together in order to discover it, and then you kind of all like, this is all kind of drafting and figuring it out, and then you know what to put out.
Mm.
So you're walking them through the exercises of like you said, the self-discovery, the values,
self-discovery,
everything.
expression, the hero's journey, like frameworks that also have a structure to it that they can play with and put it out. Because a lot of what branding is messaging. Like, what's your message?
On brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you can be on social media and people can be speaking all this stuff, but you're not speaking to your audience. You're not speaking like to someone that you're like, oh, that sounds just like me,
Right.
And that's where the messaging comes in, like being able to discover exactly the pain points, exactly like what it is that you're speaking to, so that your audience would be like, oh, that person understands me, and that a lot of that is the messaging.
Have you ever found yourself when you're going through that journey of helping others discover, where you're just like, there's sometimes too much of a block where it's someone's not being too open with themselves even to go down that journey and path? Like, how do you go around those obstacles to help them even open up, to self-discover, to
Right.
create their own brand without like, okay, putting up those walls and blocks consistently?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, it's the context because I understand that this is a very specific niche and not a lot of people. I mean, you have to be ready for this. You have to be ready for wanting to do this, and that's the difference. And it's more than selling, it's more of alignment. Does this make sense for you? I don't want to force anything upon you. I don't want to have you open up about things that you're not ready to open up, and I totally understand that. So it's more on alignment where it's like, yes, like I'm ready for this because I want to get my voice out there. Like I'm ready, but some people are not ready for it, and I respect that. It's like it's an intuition also. It plays with it when you're having that conversation and when you're really understanding what's behind the words, the communication. You understand if this person's really ready or they're extremely resistant. Then I'm like, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always feel like there's always, a few of us, especially in the industry, like, okay, let's put the branding out there, but it's like giving the wrong message or not the right message for themselves.
Yeah.
Like again, placing time and alignment, like you
Right.
mentioned, wrong branding is bad branding.
Well,
Yeah.
there's also like myths and misconceptions on branding. Like people are like, oh, logo, oh, palette, oh, this, oh, that. It's like, it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
It's like people are thinking like the visuals and how it looks, but it really is about a feeling. It's like, you buy a Louis Vuitton or you buy
Yeah.
a Lambo and it's like, oh, I feel this, I feel like $1,000,000.
See, and that's how I think of branding too, and that's why for me, and I know for you too, I feel like it's such a valuable tool in any industry, but it's such a lost thing where people don't know how to use it, quote unquote, like properly, I guess, if you will,
Yeah.
or misuse the branding in a way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? What
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to? Like, I know for me personally, like when I try to brand myself and what I think it's branding, obviously that's not my lane. So that's why I need to come to someone like you, like, girl, help me get a brand.
Yeah.
I mean, for my independence, but I'm saying like, just how to go about to even put it out there. What are the steps? What does that look like in all our journeys? Like, instead of just throwing it out there to the world, diarrhea of the mouth, and then, hey, this is me,
Right.
like, how do we get that out effectively?
Well, I think you mentioning that, like, as realtors, that's the industry that we're in, that I don't think a lot of realtors understand that I mean, real estate, we're helping people buy and sell houses, but that's not what the business actually is. It's a marketing company. Like,
No.
you have to be a marketer. And to your point, like, we as realtors, we want to help everybody instead of helping somebody, right? And so our messaging is always, we're always very, if you are looking to buy or sell a house, well, that's already two people, and it's everybody. It's not, are you a young professional who has a growing family and your kids are laying on top of you, your playroom's in the same room as you're watching TV, and there's toys everywhere. You're breaking your feet, stepping on their toys,
I love
and
it.
and you need more room. Well, we have the process to help you move up and get that bigger size house to get to solve your problems rather than just if you're looking to buy or sell, I can help you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so much
That
more
is.
to it. And
Yeah.
have you guys ever heard of story-based marketing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of, a little
Like
bit.
sharing
Sure.
short stories like that.
Yes.
How powerful that is. Just a simple anecdote, like, oh, like what you just shared. Like, it's so much more meaningful and impactful than, are you looking to buy or sell a house?
You're right. I'm gonna target like husbands like you. Hey, are you looking to have your own caveman?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to stop sharing rooms with your wife?
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you want to move
Or
up?
yeah, or people that have horses or want horses. Have you ever lived, homestead life? If you're looking to, if you want to, everything, the world's crazy right now. We specialize in homestead properties and blah blah blah. But storytelling, to your point, is also super valuable in putting that messaging out there, telling stories, delivering things like that. But even in, let's say you're talking to clients, and you're on a phone call. Let's say you're talking to a buyer or you're talking to a seller, and you're able to relate a story specific to what they're going through. and as to why you just help somebody doing that, and you tell them the story, and we can do the same for you. Like that's super powerful to get them to feel like, oh well, he already knows exactly what I need or what I'm going through, and he can help me because he just helped Susie over here do the exact same thing that I'm looking to do.
Yeah. And like to your point, you're targeting a specific audience. You know what I mean? Not just everybody. You know, because that's where I think, like how you guys were mentioning earlier, like that's the loss in translation of the message. Is, you know, you need to find that specific niche of like, who am I targeting? Who's this? Like, you're not like Nike. They're not going to go after retired old folks. You know what I mean? To go.
I don't know. If you walk around the retirement homes, there's a lot of Nike sneakers walking around
You know what
there.
I mean? Like, it's, look at the. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I get what you're saying.
But like, yeah, I know. I want to go. I want to be that old grandma.
Buy some Nikes right now.
No shit.
I'm on a run.
Right?
Just do it. Just do it.
In the mornings, I'm like, just do it.
I know. I'm
when
gonna
I'm
call
like
you.
complaining, I'm like, no.
That's gonna be my new dialogue in the mornings. And it was like, stop being a little punk. I'm like, just do it. Just get out and go. Or else put my Nike shoes
Just,
right at
just
the
put
bed.
the logo right on the ceiling, so when you open your eyes,
like,
it's
just
right there.
do
Just do it.
I know. I like that. But again, it's the message, the feeling, right?
It's such a simple phrase, but so
it's
powerful,
crazy.
right?
Yeah. How much? If you were to have a logo, what would that look like for you? Like, or like for that branding? I'm sorry, not even a logo. Like, what does your branding look like to you?
I mean, I'm wearing my brand.
Ooh,
You
let's
are.
hear it.
You're
I wanna hear
right.
about it.
Oh, it's right here.
He
Oh,
is
it's
right
here.
there. He
Ooh,
is wearing his
sir.
brand.
Yeah,
You're
search
right.
SoCal, but you
I
know,
didn't see it on that side, but now
yeah, it's over here. I pointed to the wrong side.
I know. I was looking for him.
But it's got the mountains, you know, because we're in the Inland Empire and outdoors, and I like going up there, and like there's just beauty in the mountains. And when I live here in Inland Empire and I look up there, like to me, it doesn't feel like we're in California. And so, you know, we're always searching for something, and searching for your place to call home. And we live in SoCal, so that's kind of how this came about. So,
Love it.
yeah,
And you do always wear your brand, so I like that.
yeah.
Yeah, your walking brand. I like that. I need to be more of a walking brand. I feel like I'm in that state of limbo right now. Like, I know my career brand, if that makes sense, versus like my independent brand, like who I really am as an independent person, not just a realtor or, you know, an owner of something. Like,
Yeah, well, that's why the logo, like she said in the beginning, it doesn't really matter.
it doesn't. It's a
Like,
message.
I mean, there can be some meaning in your logo or whatever it is, your brand, like that branding thing is, but really it's about who you are
Yeah.
and what you stand for and how you want to help other people, you know, what those values are and what you can help with.
And that's where I'm in the middle of like my transition of like going back to your why, right? Like, I don't have the generic. It's not generic. I'm gonna take that word back. Like, the kids, the husband, whatever. That's not my why. Like, my why is a lot different than most of my friends or peers. You know, it's more like, going back to your point, I am a person of service. I love that. Fulfills me.
Yeah.
That's fulfillment to me, and it's not even the yes girl anymore. Like, I've kind of cut that phase off, you know, with wisdom and trial and errors.
I feel that.
But more of like the giving, just, I love supporting. I love giving of service. I love watching people succeed.
Yeah.
Their success is my success, and I stick to that. And I truly heart believe that, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at as far as my independent branding, if you will, versus my career branding. My career branding is still of service, but obviously in a way of, it's a transactional thing. I don't want it to be a transaction. I want it to be a life.
Yeah.
A life experience, you know, a journey with me. Let's
journey.
go on this path with me, you know, let's do it together, kind of thing, you know. Just do it. Let's just do it.
Let's go back to just do it.
I'm gonna stick to that.
Yeah, for me, most of my life, my biggest struggle was myself.
Mhm.
I had really deep insecurities, a lot, like super, and to the point where they were debilitating. And I think it's important for me to share about this because I know now as I open up more, people open up. Like, it's so interesting. But I am the initiator where I share, like, hey, I went through it internally a lot with physical insecurities, image. Like, I always felt like I needed to be someone, especially on social media, comparing myself. Like, it ate me up. Where I was like, I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not this, or I'm not valued if I'm not this image. So that was my biggest pain, where it was just like, dang, like, I'm never gonna be good enough. Like, no matter what I do, or even if I try and fix myself externally, like, that pain was so deep inside me. And that has a lot to do with my why, because I want people to embrace who they are, express themselves authentically, and love themselves no matter who they like, what, however they look, or whatever flaws. Like the flaws are part of the art. Like I've come to that celebration
Mm.
of like
I like that.
celebrating my flaws, and the flaws are part of my art. They're part of my brand.
I like that.
Yeah,
Can I ask you a personal question?
of course. No.
Ooh.
Where do you think, for you, those insecurities came from?
Well, I know they stemmed from my early childhood. There was a lot of voices, but there's in it all started basically in elementary school, where I started to really feel out of place, or since I had that common theme of not belonging, so it was like something is wrong with me.
Why did you feel like
What's
you
it
didn't
say?
belong?
I don't know. Like I was, I don't know. Like there was just a part of my personality that was just different in a way. I mean, I don't like to say I'm different or any of that, but there is a uniqueness to everybody.
Mhm.
Like we all have a universal theme of being human. Like yes, we're human, but we all have our own flavor. Like you have your own flavor. I have my. Like, it's kind of like a blue, like a thumbprint.
Thumbprint.
Like it's like we all like, and it's discovering that.
Yeah.
So there was just something about me where I'm like, oh shoot, like, I don't know, like something is wrong with me because obviously don't fit in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it also too. I mean, this is a little personal, but I love my parents to death, and it comes from also culture, a Latino culture where they just kind of say how it is, like, oh, you look really ugly right now, like go change, like oh my, it's just kind of very direct, like they're not aware of it.
Mhm.
Right.
And me being a sensitive person, I'm very sensitive sometimes, and all of that stories would kind of play in my mind, so they would keep running, and they're usually patterns. So it's if we can disrupt those patterns, that's where we get the liberation, and that's what coaching does a lot too, because I'm basically just reflecting back,
Mhm.
and then being able to be like, oh yeah, like that was a pattern in my life, that's a limiting belief, and as soon as you like reframe it or break it, like you're free from it. And
Yeah.
that's why I was so passionate about it. And a lot of coaching is communication. So learning about the language or the way that we see, or like our perspective, and being able to reframe it, reposition it, and then it's like once you see different, you do different.
Right.
So once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Hmm. Yeah. The reason I asked that is because like I had told a story in another podcast that some of the things that I've realized that I've struggled with to me they were related to specific things in my childhood, like dancing. Like I hate to dance, right? But when I was a kid, both my parents liked to dance, and everywhere we went, if there was music, like grabbing my hand, like trying to drag me out of the chair, let's go dance. I'm like, no. And everybody's, because I'm sensitive and I don't like displays of whatever. I'm just very calm. And so they wanted to make me do that. So now, like, there's almost no way that you'll see me dancing, especially if I'm sober.
Aw.
Like, it's not happening. But it's a thing. And I think that
Yeah.
I relate that to that type of thing
Mhm.
pretty consistent. That's what I think it was. But there's other things about myself that I think that from parents and different
Right,
things like
yeah.
that, or even from kids at school, like all that shapes that stuff. And so when you can, like you said, realize those,
Yeah.
see it,
Yeah.
unsee it in a way
Yeah.
as not being true, and you can move forward.
That's
Yeah.
the beauty of it. I
Yeah.
think like the light in that, and that's what I'm communicating to people, that sometimes we repress it or don't want people to see certain things, and it's understandable because it's painful, but there's so much light when we embrace it. You feel so free from it.
Yeah.
And it has the beauty of it, if you see it through an energetic lens, like it has no more power over you. And usually when you are like playing those stories over and over, do you know how much energy that takes?
A lot, because I've been guilty of creating my own stories. So
Yeah,
I know.
and we all do. That when we realize that we're not alone, like we all
No.
go through this.
Yeah.
It's a human experience.
Yeah. But I always find it fascinating how, going back to your guys' point, like where your stories created as a childhood, like we carry that with us. We don't, once it hits, it's like it just, that story sticks to us, and that's what we continue to think until, like you said, it's disrupted, or we're shown in another way, like that's not that story,
Yeah.
you know, that you've held on to as a childhood, you know, like you're not an skinny little ugly person, or like whatever it is that your parents tell you, because I'm with you on the Latin side, you know.
Yeah.
The thing for me, the same thing was always like the external, right?
Right.
Or I'm the black sheep. I've never had a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I've been an outcast because of that, and that's a story I created for such a long time. Up until years ago, I'm like, oh hell no, like
Mm-hmm.
y'all gotta ask for vacations. I can get up and go, you know, like.
And you do.
And I do. I do, guys, but I also work really hard for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy how, you know, we carry those stories as the dancing as a childhood too, you know.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you to dance
Hell
with
no.
your wife.
Ain't gonna happen.
We're gonna take
My
you guys
wife-
to Disneyland.
No.
Redo your anniversary
And
in
what's-
Disneyland, and you're gonna dance
Yeah.
with your wife.
And what's worse is she absolutely loves to dance.
She's
She loves
yes.
it.
Oh,
So
She
whenever we go
does.
somewhere where there's dancing, like I always have to make sure that there's friends with us, with girls, so that they can all go dance, and I can just sit back and.
He's so calm,
Have a
and
good time.
she's so like full of energy.
Yeah.
Not that you're not, because you do get passionate and energy, but she's like on a whole. I love her. She's so
Yeah.
sweet.
What's her name?
Rebecca.
Oh.
Yeah.
How long have you been together?
This year will be 11. 11 years.
Ooh, goals.
I know.
Single life.
I know, right? It's okay. I'm doing me. I'm doing me.
I'll be 42 if I have 11 years of
42.
marriage, but I don't know if
Yes.
that's happening soon. You
No.
know, that self-love journey is above everything.
Yeah. Well, we
Right
met.
for me.
We met when she was 34 and I was 32.
Really?
Yeah.
I have hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And it was great because 32 is my favorite number, and that's when I met her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was kind of cool.
Damn. Mine's 30, but I passed that.
Yeah. Dang it. Maybe your guy will be 30.
Oh, you get a younger guy?
How
Who
old are you
knows?
guys?
I'll be 37 this year.
Ooh,
36.
girl, you look good.
Thank you. No Botox. We just talked about it. Not this year yet. I need a touch up.
Going back to the makeup, huh?
Yeah, back to the makeup.
Back to the makeup, man.
I've been like thinking about. I haven't yet, but it's like starting to kick in. I'm like,
I know I haven't done Botox in over a year, almost 2 years actually now. Yeah, I get in my head with it. Like I'm like, yeah, go, just do it, just go for
Yeah.
it. But I'm also like, is it
I feel that.
necessary? You know,
yeah.
like one more month.
And if you're doing it for yourself above all,
Yeah. Yeah, I try to go places that are. I mean, nothing's natural injected into anywhere into you, period. But I'm saying just more like a subtle than like a freaking pop. You know, I look like my face just got lifted. Like the next day.
Zero expression.
Yeah, like was it frozen expression? Yeah, I've seen a few of those, and I'm like, no, I want to be able to move my face, guys. Like I don't want to be stuck. I don't. Yeah, I've
But
seen.
I mean, nowadays they have a lot of like.
They're pretty subtle, or at
real
least
natural
yeah.
things.
Where I've done it before in the past, and this is I've only one person consistently never changed. It's very subtle. Yeah, I'm just afraid of like that. I don't know.
Feelings like what?
Yeah. Would you ever try Botox?
No.
I feel like that's a guy thing. Like some
Do you
guys are like,
know, a
hell no.
secret?
What?
My dad got Botox.
Yeah.
My sister got him a go.
Yeah.
Guys, don't share
feel
this.
like
My dad will
guys-
probably get so embarrassed.
We'll clip this side, this part.
I'm like, guys like Botox too.
Yeah, I feel like guys love to embrace like their natural, but I also like to. We were talking about earlier, like we were talking about salt and pepper. Like I love salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Like I think it makes a man look really manly, and it's a masculine. You know, like I don't know. I love it. I love the salt
Yeah,
and
it
pepper.
looks good.
Don't ever diet.
Thank you.
You rock it.
You
Thank
do.
you. I've been thinking about just putting some Just for Men in there. So
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you can see how fake it looks sometimes. I've seen some guys put on whatever just to match or try to attempt. I don't know what they're attempting. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't. No. Yeah,
It's happening too fast, though.
Is it?
I feel like it is.
When did you start getting raised?
In my early 30s.
Knock on wood. I haven't found one yet, I'm sure.
I have like a gray pad, and it's.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What can I do about it? You know.
I feel like
At
your
first,
whole
I was
family.
like super like sad about it.
Do you color your hair?
I do.
No. Okay. Well, then you're fine.
Yeah, I do.
We talk about like embracing ourselves, you know, being who we are, and that's something that I just have to keep. It's a muscle. It really is. Like I see it as a muscle where I'm like, okay, this is present, but you know, I know how
Yeah.
to I know how to get out of it, and how to keep training like a muscle. I mean, it comes back if you don't work out. Like, oh shoot, I come back to that muscle. Come
Struggle.
back, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. The struggle. I think for me, like going back to like the diet and all that stuff, like I get vain in my head at times, and not for anyone, but for
Yeah,
ourselves, because we are all our worst like
you
judges,
really are.
and it's getting out of that pattern, like you said, that muscle, retraining it to think differently. Like you are acceptable, you are okay, just how you are.
I think it's really like I'm so thankful. Thank you, God. Thank you that I'm a man and I'm not a woman
It is
because
hard being a
It's
girl.
painful.
because you guys like the way society is like, and it sucks. And you mentioned briefly earlier where you're talking about, you know, am I pretty? Am I not pretty? Can I be better? Can I do more to make myself more in my head of what I think beauty is
Right.
in today's society and what is how I'm judged basically by how I look. And as you guys mentioned, like as guys get older, we tend to get some gray hair and it looks nice and it's all these different things. But on the other side of the thing, women as they get older, it's a struggle because we're
Yeah.
It
the
is.
world looks at women with
Yeah.
young beauty and all those types of things and those. So if you have your identity wrapped around your
Right.
looks and your, it's just
Yeah.
it's just a recipe for
I just
disaster.
want to hit that button and be like Benjamin Buttons. Right when I hit like 50, like all of a sudden go back in time and then stop again like at 21.
Yeah,
Then go
I
back. I want that magic.
Why
that'd
are
be
we
cool.
so in love with beauty?
I
Like,
don't
I
Yeah.
don't get it,
know.
and the value that is so placed on the beauty
And I think it goes to your point, like the branding, what society
Yeah.
puts out there, what we're constantly seeing and being thrown in our faces as females, like wear this product, this clothes,
Yeah.
the fashion, the whatnot. That's like
It's worldly
it's getting
things.
thrown at us. Yeah. So I like for me, I like to shut stuff off, or I'm attempting to shut things down. So I'm not watching the news and I'm not paying attention. Like I try not to like
Yeah.
on IG. I try not to follow any beauty or fashion kind of stuff. Like I'll see people pop it up, but honestly, because
it's easy to compare.
very easy,
Yeah.
I'll be there for supporting and like friends and stuff with their brands and their things, but when it comes to like other cosmetics and other fashions and beauties, I try not to follow that because as we know, your feed will go into
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start, oh, I need the word I need that to
Right.
be this. Like we don't need it to be this.
Yeah.
But again, it's what society because of the branding. Going
Yeah.
back to the branding,
But this is like my twist on branding.
Yeah.
Like this is like yes, I want to focus on the core of who we are and our authentic selves. So I'm counterintuitive. I'm the like that's where I'm bringing the difference and the uniqueness. And it's like no, it's not about all the image. I don't know if you guys have seen that in psychology where there's that huge iceberg where all of what's
Oh,
at
yes,
the bottom
yes, yes,
and you
yes.
could only see what's at the top. Like I'm
Mhm.
focused on all of that when the bottom, the foundation, what people can't see,
All
but
the work.
people can feel the aura, the energy. So there's so much more to it,
Hmm.
and that's where I'm passionate. It's like let's focus. When they say that the subconscious is like 95%, it's like what?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, if we can work on that, like how different would our lives be?
Tremendously.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, I would say,
Right.
until you discover.
I actually just heard that yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember, I forget where I heard it. I think maybe Landmark or something. I don't even remember.
Uh,
But yeah, I try to bring that into value and practice. And going back to like for me, hearing that you're doing the branding, because when last I saw you, you were still in mortgages.
yeah.
So hearing the transition you've made now in life into being this coach and helping people, through self discovery, their own journey of rebranding themselves or branding themselves, period. That's such a powerful tool that you have that I feel like, again, in our industry, not just our industry, but other, industries out there, it's a missing link.
Yeah.
And with you sharing your story and what you can do and how you help others, preach on and keep sharing it because it's people like you, I feel there needs to be not more of Emily because there's only one of you, but of the proper branding, if you will, if that makes sense. Because I see the wrong branding for the
Yeah.
wrong reasons, but when it comes to putting yourself authentically out there with the powerful, rightful message,
Right.
I feel like no one can ever shake that up.
Mhm.
So I love that you're doing that.
Thank
So I
you.
applaud you for that.
That means so much. Oh, I
I really
receive
do.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was really excited to hear that. So
Yeah.
when when Gio had mentioned that, oh, she's gonna be branding, I'm like, get her on the podcast. Like, I want her to share her story. I want to hear all about that.
Who so people that would want to have your coaching, like typically who would that be, or what in
My
like
audience?
your
Yes.
audience?
It's solopreneurs.
Really?
So, yeah, they're independent that are looking to stand out.
Okay.
Solopreneurs.
And how do you capture your audience currently right now? Is it through social media, word of mouth?
I have been going a lot to networking events to just kind of connect with my audience. I've worked on LinkedIn a lot because there was a lot of professionals on there and that are building their brands. Now I'm shifting a little more towards Instagram. So yeah, there's just been a journey. I've just kind of followed that because the branding provides a lot of clarity into where I should be putting my focus on, where is that specific audience. So I'm really good at networking, so I think that in person and being around those people that are ready to build a brand, yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
And if somebody wanted to reach out to you and hire you for your services, where would they probably go?
Excuse me. You can go to www.simplymeme-coaching.com, and then you could also reach me on my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my Facebook.
What's your Instagram?
It's _Emily extra Y Rosales.
Extra Y,
They didn't
guys.
have I had to do the extra Y.
So don't go on there to stalk my friend because I will find you.
I don't have a blue check mark, guys, so I'm sorry. And I don't have a bunch of followers either because I had to start from scratch. But
Hey, we're building it. That's why we're gonna send
Yeah.
everybody there, grow it.
yeah, I'm not worried about it.
No stalkers.
No stalker, guys. We'll
I'm
find
like,
you.
alignment, guys, alignment.
Yes. So those that are looking for serious coaching, not just get her number, take her out.
Oh God, no.
No. So yes. So you can find Emily at, again, please say that again. Your Instagram, Emily with the
With an extra Y.
Underscore.
Underscore Emily.
Right here.
Extra Y. Oh, hey there. Underscore Emily extra Y Rosales.
Beautiful.
That's my Instagram, guys.
I love it. Well, thank you all for joining us here on the main pod. Thank you so much for being here. And obviously, I would love to have you again so you can share more
Yeah.
on this journey of growth and success because we would love to hear it. Thank you, Julian, for always
Thank
being
you.
such a savvy
This
tech
was
guy.
so
Thank you, guys.
amazing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am so
Went by
grateful
fast.
for
It
you
went by really
too.
great.
Yeah, I had a great time.
We're happy you did.
I was a
Woo!
little nervous, but now I'm like, oh.
So we can do it again. We can do it again. So thank you all. Stay tuned for next week at 2 o'clock on the main pod, where you can also subscribe to on our YouTube channel, the main pod. So don't forget to do that as well. Thank you both. And yeah, have a great day.